Opal storms ashore along the Florida Panhandle, a dangerous hurricane in a killer season. The O.J. Simpson fallout. What now for his life, his kids, why the jury said not guilty. NBC News in depth tonight, trying to understand the verdict across racial lines. And Pope John Paul II arrives in America calling himself a pilgrim for peace.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. While this country was distracted by the O.J. Simpson verdict, still another huge storm was building in the Gulf of Mexico, and tonight, Hurricane Opal is catching a lot of people off guard as it roars ashore along the Florida Panhandle. It's the 9th hurricane of this long season. Over water, Opal's winds have gusted as high as 185 miles an hour. They've been gusting over land at 144 miles an hour. And we have two reports tonight, beginning with NBC's Robert Hager.
It's a big, ferocious storm, stronger than any storm that's made landfall so far this year in this hurricane season of so many storms. In Pensacola, huge waves pounded the seawall, a stunning display of nature's power. Forecasters said winds at the wall of the eye are extremely dangerous, capable of doing big damage. The winds also spawned tornadoes, at least one fatality reported so far.
And water is as big a problem as the wind. The storm surge piling the water up to 20 feet higher than normal along the Gulf Coast, bound to cause erosion and heavy damage.
The storm spread heavy rain hundreds of miles in front, soaking much of Georgia and other southeastern states as well. Inland, back from the highest winds, traffic backed up as tens of thousands fled the area, evacuating low-lying ground in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the northern Florida Panhandle. Businesses boarded up, schools were closed, and normally populated areas along hundreds of miles of this scenic Gulf playland were left deserted. Alabama declared a state of emergency. In Florida, the National Guard was activated. Shelters filled up. Inland schools pressed into service in Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and elsewhere. NBC meteorologist Joe Whitty has been tracking the storm.
Well, Hurricane Opal is crashing on shore with winds of 125 miles an hour, a little weaker than it was earlier this afternoon, but that does point out one of the major problems we have in hurricane forecasting. It's very difficult to forecast how much they're going to grow or shrink in wind speed. We do know it's going to continue to accelerate to the northeast so that by tomorrow morning it will be just a rainmaker along the Georgia-Tennessee border.
This is the Gulf Coast's third encounter with a tropical storm this year. The last, Hurricane Aaron, passed right over Pensacola in early August. Already, Aaron caused millions of dollars damage. This storm could be 2 or 3 times as bad. Robert Hager, NBC News, Pensacola, Florida.
This is Ken Lee Jones on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. As the eye of Hurricane Opal bore down on the Florida Panhandle, residents of Biloxi and Gulfport were taking no chances. At the Gulfport Civil Defense Center, the severity of the storm brought back painful memories of Hurricane Camille, which devastated the region in 1969. George Mixon was a deputy sheriff back then.
Knowing what the potential is, I get flashbacks remembering the storm surge coming in, the wind, the rain, and everything else that goes along with it.
Camille was the second worst storm to hit the United States this century. It claimed 256 lives, 142 of them on Mississippi's Gulf Coast. Winds were clocked at more than 200 miles an hour. Just across the road from the beach in Pass Christian, a shopping center now lies on the site of what was once the Richelieu apartment building. In 1969, as Camille approached, 27 residents refused to heed warnings to evacuate. 26 of them died.
We did not have the forcible evacuation law that we have now. If we had, quite a few of my friends would still be alive.
78-year-old Robert Varnadoe was the first one to show up at a Gulfport shelter today. He didn't make it to a shelter during Camille and had to cling to a live oak tree with 6 other people to keep from being blown away.
Did you think you were going to die?
I didn't think about that. That's why I was holding on so tight.
Holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
Disaster officials here say advances in hurricane warning technology and the memory of what happened during Camille should help to prevent such catastrophic loss of life from Hurricane Opal. Ken Lee Jones, NBC News, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Let's go back to Joe Whitty now and see what the prospects are for this storm. Joe, it's moving very rapidly. Does that diminish the damage that it might do on the ground?
Well, it's a mixed bag, really, Tom. It really will diminish the damage with respect to rainfall because the storm moves so fast. The rain will end before there's too much flooding, but there will be some serious flooding. The bad news is the package of wind is really going to go way up into northern Georgia, so we'll see some wind damage way up north of Atlanta into Tennessee during the next 12 hours.
And what about the chances of it reaching all the way up into the deep northeast, all the way into the mid-Carolinas, Washington, D.C., New York, and so on?
Well, it's going to go west of the mountains. We've got a drought up here. We could use some of that rain. We'll get some of the rain, but right now it looks like by Friday morning it'll be around the Buffalo area, headed towards New England by the weekend.
All right, thanks very much, Joe Whitty, tonight. When NBC Nightly News continues, the Simpson verdict. The jurors speak out for the first time. The turning points, the secret agonies tonight. We'll take a look at that.
Rice Krispie treats?
Melba made them.
Melba made them. Well, she's a hard-working gal.
Took her 10 minutes. Said they were low fat.
Low fat, huh? Since when do you care about fat? How do you think I keep my girlish figure?
Kellogg's Rice Krispies treats? What other cereal sounds so good?
Kellogg's Halloween Rice Krispies in special yellow and orange colors can make your Halloween a scream.
We just weren't hungry, dear. Well, I'll make cappuccino.
Cappuccino. They don't have a rug, but they have a cappuccino machine. Honey, what's going on?
Maxwell House Cappuccino.
Delicious.
I'll help with the dishes. Oh, that's okay. We have a dishwasher, too.
New Irish Cream Cappuccino, only from Maxwell House.
Don't you wish we could just do this to air pollution? We can help. If homes and industries, power plants and vehicles would just switch to natural gas. Clean, economical natural gas. Think what we'll save.
Raymond, you look constipated.
Here we go.
You should take Phillips Milk of Magnesia.
Says who?
For gentle overnight relief, doctors say they'd take Phillips Milk of Magnesia most. Raymond.
Told you.
Phillips. Doctors know best.
On O.J. Simpson's first full day of freedom, members of his jury began to go public with their explanations of why they found him not guilty, and so quickly. Here's NBC's Kelly O'Donnell in Los Angeles.
Juror number 7, Brenda Moran, is sure.
No, I know O.J. Simpson didn't do it.
When deliberations started, it was 10-2 in favor of acquittal. Moran says one of the two was white. She's not sure about the other.
We were fair. It wasn't a matter of sympathy. Wasn't a matter of favoritism. It was a matter of evidence.
For Moran, she likes the prosecution, but did not believe their evidence. The not guilty verdict came down to this.
In plain English, the glove didn't fit.
Simpson's history of domestic violence against Nicole made no difference.
The domestic abuse, to me, that was a waste of time. This was a murder trial, not domestic abuse. If you want to get tried for domestic abuse, go in another courtroom and get tried for that.
Suspicions. Moran questioned why lead detective Philip Van Adder carried a vial of Simpson's blood sample with him. On the socks from Simpson's bedroom, Moran says the blood pattern didn't make sense. She offered a curious no comment about Mark Furman, the glove he found at Rockingham.
Somebody planted it.
Outside the homes of other jurors, the wait continues for more details on the deliberations. Juror number 10, Gina Rossborough, appeared on Oprah, saying she doubted Simpson's guilt from the beginning.
If he committed such a bloody crime, then it should have been more blood in that Bronco than this just little speck.
Juror 6, Lon Cryer, told the Los Angeles Times, "We felt there were a lot of opportunities for contamination of evidence, samples being mixed or stored together." Echoing a defense case slogan, Cryer said, "It was garbage in, garbage out." Answering to criticism that race on this mostly African-American jury decided the outcome, Moran says it was never discussed.
We didn't even deal with that deck, period, from the bottom. We didn't even get to that issue.
Jurors say the pain and sorrow of the families moved them, but could not and did not sway their verdict. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Los Angeles.
For Simpson today, no public appearances, but some clues about what's next for his two young children, now living with their grandparents. Nicole Brown's family since Simpson's arrest. More now from NBC's David Bloom.
O.J. Simpson, secluded behind the walls of his guarded estate, today made plans to reunite with his young children, whom he has not seen for 16 months. Family friends told NBC News that Lou and Judita Brown, the parents of Simpson's murdered ex-wife, decided last night not to fight Simpson for custody of 9-year-old Sydney and 7-year-old Justin, whom the Browns have cared for since Simpson's arrest.
And the reason that a lot can be overlooked is because of the children. The children have been our lives, and they are going to be our lives, hopefully, for many years to come.
NBC News has learned the Browns were told by their lawyers they would almost certainly lose a custody battle. And so, friends say, they've decided to reconcile with Simpson, who yesterday was found not guilty of murdering their daughter, Nicole. This afternoon, as mourners left flowers and memorabilia at Nicole Brown Simpson's grave, her sister Denise headed off with Sydney and Justin for the long-awaited reunion between Simpson and his young children. However, there is concern about Sydney Simpson's emotional well-being. Last night, according to Judita Brown, Sydney asked, "Do I have to leave?" To which her grandmother replied, "Maybe."
Well, Sydney has known since the spring that her father has been on trial for the murder of her mother. I understand that she's terrified about seeing him today. Justin has known less, and he's excited about seeing his father.
And so tonight, O.J. Simpson is not simply a free man, but a father trying to make a difficult reconciliation with his family. David Bloom, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Much more on what's next for Sydney and Justin Simpson tomorrow morning on Today when Katie Couric interviews Lou and Denise Brown. A new report on crime tonight. A study by the Sentencing Project finds that among African American men in their 20s, almost 1 in 3 now in jail, on probation, or on parole on any given day. That's up from 1 in 4 just 5 years ago. One big factor here, the new drug laws with mandatory minimum jail time instead of drug treatment. When we come back, NBC News in depth tonight, the Simpson verdict, the great racial divide. We'll listen as young people tell us why.
What else is this? How many lotions have you tried?
About 1 million lotions.
Until I tried Jergens Ultra Healing Lotion.
Why Jergens?
It works with your skin, not just on it.
It works with your skin?
It penetrates to heal dry skin from within.
And it helps my skin seem to retain its own natural moisture. This is great lotion.
I love the way it makes my skin feel.
It's silky, it's smooth, like cashmere.
So who's good to your skin?
Jergens, Jergens, Jergens.
Feel this.
Ultra Healing Lotion, another beautiful idea from today's Jergens.
When I have diarrhea, I could use some comforting. I get it from kaopectate. Just a couple spoonfuls of creamy, soothing kaopectate is all it takes. Kaopectate, there's still nothing else quite like it.
Ricola, natural herb cough drops. A pleasant-tasting blend of organically grown herbs and other natural ingredients from Switzerland.
Bayer, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
NBC News in depth tonight, the Simpson verdict and the continuing debate about the role of race in this decision. This was one of the lasting images from yesterday. Students celebrating as the not guilty verdict was read. This is Howard University's law school in Washington, D.C. The scene was essentially the same at Clark Atlanta University, another black college where undergraduates had gathered to watch. So we asked NBC's Frederica Whitfield to talk with students about the emotions behind the reaction. Here's her in-depth report from Emory University.
Atlanta's Emory University. Law students watching as the Simpson trial verdict was announced.
Find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
The response, from exultation to blank stares. We asked those students today to explain the dynamics of their reactions.
The cheers seem to indicate that
instead of criminal justice, it was more of a social justice that the different groups were looking at.
The fact that this thing developed into a racial issue is very unfortunate, and I don't think it ever should have gotten to that point. We believe, or I believe, that justice had been done. The jury weighed the evidence did not meet the burden, and justice had been done.
The label of racism is so endemic in our society that this man never got a fair shot. I think that was overstepping the bounds, and that one person's life was set free in this sake, but at what cost to the rest of society?
If I could just get a show of hands real quick on how many of you thought yesterday's decision was the right decision. You all have been trained while in law school here, all about debating, yet somehow yesterday's decision is eliciting a very emotional response instead of one strictly based on merit. Why is that?
What has created emotion in me has been other people's reaction to the verdict, and that is what I have a problem, because that just brings the racism in this country so much to the forefront to me. Not what actually happened in the courtroom, not the verdict, but the way whites and blacks to some extent have reacted to it.
Just because, I felt that he was guilty, I don't feel as though just because, I'm a white male that's why I should feel that way. I looked at the facts, I looked at everything, and from the case and from what I heard, that's just the way I felt.
I don't think there's an African American on the face of this earth who hasn't heard the N-word, and hasn't heard the N-word repeatedly. What makes people think that just because we hear this, or we see racism, or we know racism exists, that when it's brought up and it's put in our face, that we're going to react emotionally, that all our reason is going to just flee, and we're going to be incapable of looking at the evidence, seeing the holes in the evidence, weighing the evidence, and seeing which side ought to prevail.
We hope that justice will be blind, and in this case I find it, with the disparity of opinion between whites and blacks, that justice in this case was not colorblind.
Because of our experiences as blacks, as whites, the things that we have gone through or not gone through, I think that affects how we look at the evidence, how we looked at what happened.
If there is anything these students learned from the Simpson trial and its verdict, it's not necessarily how to become the next Johnny Cochran or Marcia Clark.
It is that racial issues still shape their lives, despite their training in the law. Frederica Whitfield, NBC News, Atlanta.
And ripples from the Simpson verdict did not stop at the college level, of course. Young people all across this country paused in the middle of the school day to watch the verdict. In part two of tonight's in-depth report, we listen to their reaction, now in their own words.
What bothers me is not so much that O.J. Simpson was not guilty, declared not guilty, but that how we as a people see this verdict. And they're standing outside the courthouse, chanting, waving at TV cameras and all this. I think the whole event has been deaths, murders have been trivialized.
Do you know how many murders there are every day? And the fact that this happens to be a football hero is the reason why it gets on television. And it's kind of sad, I think.
We did learn stuff out of this trial, which was he beat his wife.
Yeah.
An American hero does not beat his wife. And if he leaves that courtroom to people cheering, I don't know what they're cheering for.
Decision's not really surprising if you look at it according to, our justice system states that you have to be proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
I still had doubts in my mind, and the juror's job is to, if they can't eliminate the doubts, then they have to let him go.
Please bless O.J. Simpson's family, Ron Goldman's family.
I feel that O.J. Simpson is not guilty, and I feel very sorry for his children.
If that's my mother dying and thinking my father did it, I cry every day and every night in my dreams.
I feel that he's not guilty because of all the racism that's been going on in the case.
I think O.J. is guilty, and they would have gotten a guilty verdict on the DNA evidence alone. But had it not been for Mark Furman and the planting of evidence, the messy investigation.
He was being too racial. I think he really screwed up the case, though, if O.J. Simpson was guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
He's not guilty.
He'll come back, though, but people are gonna look at him differently.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson said tonight that following the verdict that he has received at the Rainbow Coalition, death threats, and he has called for a national day of healing. More news and NBC News Online when we come back.
You got 6 minutes to shower, 4 minutes to dry your hair, 1 minute for contacts, 4 minutes to find them, 5 minutes to get dressed, 3 minutes to make yourself beautiful, and 90 seconds to make breakfast. That's plenty of time to dig into a bowl of great tasting instant Quaker oatmeal. The same whole grain oats as regular Quaker oatmeal, just cut finer to cook faster. One taste of that maple and brown sugar and you can handle anything. Like 10 minutes of screaming, 30 minutes of music, 20 minutes of painting. Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
It's the Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. Choose your favorite pasta from our special menu, then manja. Enjoy as many free refills as you want with free soup or salad and breadsticks. The never-ending pasta bowl, just $6.95 for a short time at the Olive Garden.
Starting at about $1 a day, you can get the best television has to offer with Prime Star. Movies, sports, and family programming, all with digital picture and sound. Best of all, Prime Star is a service, so there's no equipment to buy. And it all starts at about $1 a day. To find out more, call 1-800-PRIME-STAR.
I think Pedigree new mealtime with lamb and rice is just about as perfect a diet as we've ever used. It's made with real lamb meat and real rice. We like it because of what it does for the dogs.
Pedigree, developed with vets, recommended by top breeders.
Thanks to Sprint Business, now the world is flat. Introducing flat rate pricing for small businesses on all your long distance, even for Sprint 800 service. Enhanced fax and cellular long distance. One low flat rate for everything, all over the country, so you know just what you're paying.
Now that's simple.
Call now for flat rate pricing. 1-800-827-3700. Call Sprint Business.
Dateline Friday. The Simpson verdict. What does it mean for battered women? What went wrong with the prosecution's case? And what's next for the LAPD? Dateline Friday at a special time.
News from overseas tonight. A German court has ruled that Nicholas Leeson, the young trader who caused the collapse of Barings, Britain's oldest bank, will be extradited to Singapore to face charges of fraud, forgery, and breach of trust. Leeson gambled millions of unauthorized future trades in Asian markets. The bank wound up losing a total of nearly $2 billion before it collapsed. In this country, on Wall Street today, the Dow was down in very heavy trading. The NASDAQ was down as well. Some health news tonight. A study in tomorrow's edition of the New England Journal of Medicine says that flu shots are not just for the elderly in this country. A flu vaccine received in the fall can reduce wintertime sick days for adults by a third. Now to NBC News Online. Where were you at 1 p.m. yesterday? Probably among the tens of millions of Americans watching the O.J. Simpson verdict. According to Nielsen ratings out late today, 91% of all television sets in use across the country were tuned in, ranking the verdict with the coverage of John F. Kennedy's death, the first moon landing, and the Gulf War among the biggest television audiences of all time. Also drawing a crowd on television these days, somewhat smaller, the baseball playoffs. And some teams are very hungry. The New York Yankees last won the World Series 17 years ago. It's been almost a half a century for Cleveland's Indians. The last time the Boston Red Sox won, Woodrow Wilson was president of the United States. When NBC Nightly News continues, the Pope in America, a pilgrimage for peace.
Is this getting serious?
I think so.
Well, how do you feel about it? Just imagine if you hadn't run out of coffee.
Just imagine if you hadn't had Taster's Choice.
Savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
So tell me, Jeremy, how's your mother?
Dad, I think she's in love.
Really?
Rice Krispie treats?
Melba made them.
Melba made them.
Well, she's a hard-working gal. Took her 10 minutes. Said they were low fat.
Low fat, huh? Since when do you care about fat?
How do you think I keep my girlish figure?
Kellogg's Rice Krispies treats? What other cereal sounds so good?
Kellogg's Halloween Rice Krispies in special yellow and orange colors can make your Halloween a scream.
We're proud to announce that this model not only passed that ball-bearing test, it surpassed it.
It's my Dirt Devil MVP with maximum vacuum power. Just think what it can do in your home.
Pam, look. Philips has gel caps. Gentle overnight relief in a little gel cap. This is just the thing for your constipation, honey.
Even has a stool softener, huh, Brenda?
Philips has gel caps.
I thought I knew it all till you came. Now you cry and I don't know why. What are you thinking? Can you dream? So maybe I don't know it all. Like making the right decisions for your future. You're the helpless one, but I'm the one who needs a hand now.
There is more at stake now. Ask a Merrill Lynch financial consultant who can help with a plan and more ways to make the plan work than anyone else. The difference is planning. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
Tomorrow on Today, juror number 7. Find out exactly how the jury arrived at the not guilty verdict. Join Bryant and Katie live from Los Angeles tomorrow on Today.
It has been an astonishing confluence of big events in America this week. The Simpson verdict, Hurricane Opal following close behind, and this evening, the Northeast is absorbed by the arrival of Pope John II, the beginning of his 5-day visit. Here's NBC's Brian Williams.
The Alitalia jet dubbed Shepherd 1 pulled up behind Air Force One, and with the President and First Lady waiting at the bottom of the stairs, Pope John Paul II emerged slowly from his 9-hour transatlantic voyage. He was greeted by rain, a damp crowd, and dozens of dignitaries. The President delivered the welcome.
On the threshold of a new millennium, more than ever, we need your message of faith and family, community and peace.
The Pope spoke of the role America has played in history as he urged the U.S. to keep its doors open to immigrants and maintain its standing in the world.
Your power of example carries with it heavy responsibilities. Use it well, America.
Of the crowd of 3,000, most were students bussed in for the event, ecstatic when they caught sight of the head of the Catholic Church.
I think it was fun, exciting to just meet the Pope and the President one time with Hillary Clinton. I'm just so happy our school was able to be picked.
They listened as their leader seemed to take credit for the change in the weather in the drought-suffering Northeast.
Pope is bringing you the rain.
The business of this trip is the third meeting between the President and the Pope, one of them a Southern Baptist, the other the leader of just under 1 billion Catholics worldwide.
On the agenda, Bosnia, the Middle East, Russia, and Northern Ireland. The Pope apologized for canceling his last U.S. visit after breaking his leg at 75 and slowed down by accidents, operations, an assassination attempt, and 17 years of travel. He's willing to brave New Jersey and then New York. He was promptly asked his opinion of the O.J. Simpson verdict, but didn't respond. Brian Williams, NBC News, Newark, New Jersey.
Pope John Paul II here for 5 days. That's Nightly News tonight. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
The world is now watching the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. NBC News, now more than ever.
Hurricane Opal crashes into the eastern seaboard. Stories of survival at the center of this massive storm. Also, the Pope in America. Special in-depth coverage. NBC Nightly News tomorrow.
NBC Saturday on JAG.
He's my friend.
A deadly accident.
I was only doing what I thought was best for the court.
My man,
and this is my investigation. I want to know what this is about.
Who is not telling the truth?
I'll see what I can do.
Oliver North guest stars on an all-new JAG NBC Saturday.